How was your week?
It was good.
Did you do anything interesting?
No, not really.
Not really. Same.
You took your dad to dinner for Father's Day. That's last week. Go ahead.
You took him to dinner?
Yeah, I took him to dinner.
That was very nice. Where did you go? What did you have?
We went to Applebee's.
Nice. Oh, so
And
great. You were able to eat outside. Like they had the outside dining or something?
Yes.
That was nice.
And I have been doing a bake sale too.
Oh, a bake sale?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that. How's that work?
With your mom.
It's good. I did it with my mom.
Okay.
Did you tell your mom's birthday was last week?
And my mom's birthday was last week.
Yeah, she had a lot going on.
You actually had a lot going on. So I was going to say, it's actually been a lot going on.
Yeah.
That's good.
Her and her mom just got finished doing the bake sale yesterday.
Yeah, we did deliver stuff to people.
You delivered it to people?
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably fun to see, like, just to see people. If you've been inside, you haven't really seen so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
I made a lot of stuff too.
What'd you make?
I made rainbow cake, vanilla cake, chocolate chip cookies,
Holy.
chocolate cake, strawberry cake.
Oh my God.
And I made lemonade, strawberry lemonade, iced tea with lemonade.
Wow, you are really busy.
Mm-hmm.
You're also making me very hungry. I'm about that. Next time you can make Miss Gianna some of that strawberry cake. I'll take some of that.
Okay.
At least a slice.
Okay.
It sounds delicious.
Yeah, but
Huh?
So if you want a slice of a cake, it's $3.
Okay. Well, I like that you guys are selling like just slices too. So you don't have to like buy the whole cake, because sometimes I might not want the whole cake, but like a couple of slices.
And I got a lot of money from the bake sale.
You did.
Yeah.
Was this for you? Did you get to keep the money?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much did you make?
I made $330.
You're not kidding. That's
Nope.
a lot of money.
Wow. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yep, her and her mama did all that baking yesterday. It paid off good.
Y'all were doing a whole lot of cooking. Nice. Wow. Yeah, people like, I actually was thinking last night I hadn't had like, I was thinking about cake last night. Funny enough that you're saying that. Like I felt like I wanted like a piece of chocolate cake. I don't know, because you just you're not getting out as much. So it's like when you usually just go out, if you see some, you'll pick some up. But it's like, if you're not kind of already moving about.
And it's homemade icing in.
Homemade icing.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Chocolate.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Good.
Hi, Nadia. Hi, Priya.
Hi.
Ava Joy is with us.
Hey, Ava.
Hi.
I'll wait a couple more minutes. How are you all? How was your week?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Ava was just telling us that it's her mom's birthday. She took her dad out to Applebee's for Father's Day. So that was like the first time that she'd been out. Like you did the outside seating and had a bake sale and made a whole lot of money.
Ooh.
She had a busy week.
That's
Yeah, this
nice.
was the first week that I actually went out and did something social.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the art museum. They had this outdoor exhibit. Oh, I actually saw Miss Dean there, you guys. I saw Miss Dean was there with Dalila.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
That was really nice. But that's the first time I've been outside doing anything social.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hello.
And it was weird. It was weird.
It does feel weird.
Yeah, you're kind of like, you know, and then I went to hug her and then I couldn't hug her. And then Dalila comes up and hugs my legs and I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to touch me.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
that is our concern with the baby. And even like as we're doing the surveys for returning to school, that's my thinking, like, especially for her, like she kind of understands a little bit more, but I'll still be ready to hug her friends when he hasn't seen them in so long, or her teachers.
I know that's what they're saying too. I mean,
yeah,
you know, how are you going to keep the kids from hugging each other and touch, you know, they're going to run and hug you. It's the first thing they're going to do.
Exactly.
That's the first thing that we do.
Yep, exactly.
It's tough. Hey, Jaden, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I know. I saw that survey. It was like, how in the world is this going to work?
On so many levels too. It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know it's across the board. It's 2 days a week and 2 hours a day. And how are they getting there? And then you all going back to work.
I know.
How's that?
Yep.
Yep. I know. I don't know. It's wild times for sure. It's like, and then everything trying to like push to be back to normal, and it's not. It's like it's not normal. Like, very frustrating.
Yeah.
But we are going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to. This is our 6th week doing our cooking classes together.
Nice.
I'm always really grateful to have you all here. I'm so grateful for this food that we are getting every week. I mean, at first I wasn't getting a bag because I wanted it to go to families, but I decided I should have one so I could see what you all are getting. And I just can't believe it. I mean, it's like a lot of food. I know that I'm hardly even using the food from the week before. I mean, you're really having to work hard to use all the food. But I hope that you all, hey Sia, hey Mom. I hope that you all are you know, making good use of the food, and I hope these recipes are continuing to be helpful for you. A couple things I wanted to say before we got started. I want to always just remind you all that this is a plant-based cooking class, and that means that we're cooking food that looks really close to nature. So we have all this beautiful produce, and instead of trying to over process it, we try to like process it just a little bit, because our food, the closer that it looks to nature, the healthier it is for us. And that is because we have not processed it. So when we think about foods that are processed, I always use the example of like eating an apple versus drinking apple juice versus Apple Jacks. And it's always going to be healthier for us to have the apple, even though the apple juice is still healthier. They have done a lot for it to be in a bottle. It doesn't look like it exists in nature. They had to press it out. They had to heat it up to take all the nutrients out of it so it can sit on a shelf. And then we look at Apple Jacks, there's no apple in Apple Jacks at all. So we're always trying to eat foods as close to nature as possible. So that's what these classes are all about. Today we are making a stuffed potato. Like, you guys got like, what, 8 potatoes? So we're gonna make a big stuffed potato. I did include some like vegan cheese in there, but I wanted to just kind of bring that to your attention that I'm always gonna try to keep us away from as much animal products as possible. Something like a baked potato, like you kind of always feel like you wanna have some cheese in there, but I'm gonna still encourage you, like if you wanna have the cheese, eat the cheese, but don't drown it in cheese, because we're still going to try to have this be like a mostly plant-based meal. And if you were interested in trying to start getting interested in vegan cheese, this is a good space to do it in, because it's kind of like mashed together and it'll like blend with everything. So, because it tastes different than regular cheese. I mean, vegan cheese tastes very different, but when you mix it in with other things, it blends better. So let's start by looking at what we got in our bag yesterday. So the first thing, you guys, we got Did you guys get 2 of these? Who can tell me what this is?
It kind of looks like kale.
It is. This is what we call curly kale. This is a big old bunch of curly kale too.
Nope.
Oh, Avery's already got hers ready. So we got 2 big bunches of curly kale. And what we were saying before about kale and any dark fruits and vegetables, the darker it is, the more nutrient dense it is. And so we call kale a superfood. It's one of the healthier fruit or vegetables that we can eat. And we know that because it's really dark. So even without me telling you like it's vitamin K, it's vitamin A, it's vitamin C, we can just know because it's a dark leafy green that it's probably going to be really good for us, and it is. It is really good. It is high in vitamin K. That's good for your bones. It's also very good, high in vitamin C. In fact, 1 leaf of kale has 80 milligrams of vitamin C, and an orange has 70. So 1 leaf of kale has more vitamin C than an orange, which you don't think. We don't think about it that way. So this is really good. We were going to use 1 bunch of kale today, and then we made kale salads in the past, so I will share out some more recipes and ideas. And also what I want to share with you, I actually meant to do this and I forgot, how you can freeze this. Kale actually freezes really, really well. You just have to dry it off basically and put it in a freezer bag and just put it right in the freezer. And when it comes out, it'll be crunchy and it's really good for your smoothies. You can just go ahead and put it right into your smoothies. So our first ingredient, 2 big bunches of kale. And then you guys got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 potatoes. Yeah, bloop, bloop. Potatoes are also really good for you, really high in nutrients. Also, especially like if you're trying to have a plant-based diet, you're gonna want these like carbohydrates to kind of help fill us up. So yeah, so happy to have potatoes, and hopefully, hello, Miss Marcia, how are you? Hi.
Hi.
If you don't use these, you can use them for the 4th of July next weekend. You can make a potato salad. We also got apples. I believe these are Golden Delicious apples. I'm really happy that you guys, they give us so many. They give you like 6 apples. I'm happy because this is hopefully enough for you guys to have like your snack throughout the week. Apples are one of the most nutritious foods that you actually can have. That saying that says like an apple a day keeps the doctor away, because there's so many nutrients in an apple, they can't even reproduce it in a lab. So like if they were to try to go and make a vitamin, they can't even reproduce all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are in an apple. So the best thing to do is just eat the apple whole. Just eat the apple. Also really good, like chopped up and, you know, all the different things. So always happy to have apples. When we go to order this produce every week, I try to get you guys at least 1 fruit. So like you can just eat it and like as a snack for the kids. And then last but not least, we have our scallions. Last week we had garlic scapes, and garlic scapes look a lot like scallions. These scallions actually, like you can see, they're little onions. These actually probably were in the ground a little bit longer than they usually keep them, because they're like, you can see they're really kind of start to turn into those onions, which is fine. But scallions, usually when we have our scallions, we use the top. We kind of use them for a garnish. But the garlic scapes we had last week, this is, I would say, like the cousin of our garlic scapes, our scallions. So those were our foods for today. If you are going to be cooking with us, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and put, I don't know if the potato is actually going to be done by the time we're doing this, but we'll still go through the process and we'll make the filling together. I did go ahead, thankfully, I was like, oh, I got to put the potato in it ahead of time. So my potato will be done, so I'll be able to show you what to do with it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let me make sure we got all of our stuff here. Oh, before we go, I'll just also kind of go through our ingredients today. So today we are, in addition to the produce that we're going to be using, our kale, today we're going to use our kale, our scallions, and our baked potatoes. And then we're going to use tomatoes. We're going to use mushrooms. Actually, I wanted to show you like these mushrooms. I was actually happy that our recipe today called for them because I needed to go ahead and use them up. And you can put anything into these baked potatoes, and I would encourage you, especially these days, if you have something in your refrigerator that just needs to be cooked, throw that into your stuffing. And that's really it. Or onions, we're gonna have more onions to like mix it with. And then this is the vegan cheese I'm using. I know it's backwards, but it's called BioLife. I will say that you could get this at the Mariposa Co-op in West Philly. I actually got this from Mariposa. This brand right here is pretty good, BioLife. It tastes like really good cheese. So this is the vegan cheese that I'm gonna be using today. And again, if you do not have vegan cheese or you're not ready for vegan cheese, you use regular cheese. You just use what you want. But what I would say is like where the recipe calls for a cup, I would like for you to cut back on it. Just use half a cup. Oh, Ava's got her potatoes cooking. Good job, Ava. I actually am gonna cut back, and even for my recipe, I'm only gonna use a half a cheese because we don't really need it. We don't really need it. All right. And then also the other recipe we had was for that vegan ranch dressing. This is actually the ranch dressing that we made like 3 weeks ago. It's still in my refrigerator. So I brought it back out because if you would have made like a big batch like I did, it's already in there. So just encouraging you to continue to use the recipes that we've used before, just keep on reusing them. And this is actually really good. I had a parent text me and say like their kids are loving this vegan ranch. And because it's made with that fresh herbs, like the more it sits, the better it tastes. It actually tastes pretty good. I'm impressed. So we're gonna use that for our dip. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So the first thing we are going to do, I just go ahead and print out my instructions to guide along. So I'm literally doing the same thing that you guys are doing. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna cook our kale first. So very similarly, like we did, we had a kale recipe before. What we're gonna do, like a really easy way to do your kale is just to rip it off from the stem. Like the last time we were doing it with the dinosaur kale and we were cutting along the edge, that's fine. But all you need to do is rip it right off from the stem. Also, if you're interested in making like vegetable broth, keep your stems, because this is super easy to just go ahead and put it over water and onions and all of our leftovers, and you can make a nice vegetable stock. So we are gonna just peel off the kale from the stem. And then when we're done doing that, I'm gonna do a whole head. And even if it looks like it's too much when we go to do our stuffing, we're just gonna already have it done. Also, we're gonna do this kale on the stove versus like cooking it out. So just like when we did the garden veggies and I just went ahead and made all the veggies and used the veggies for something else, we're gonna just go ahead and do the whole batch and then we'll just save it and use it for something else. This veggie mix is gonna have the kale, the tomatoes, the onions, and the mushrooms. I'm gonna say right off the top, if you do like omelets or you do like scrambled eggs, that would be perfect to put right into your scrambled eggs in the morning. Sunday morning, make your eggs, go ahead and do that little veggie. I'll put the veggies into the eggs or right on the side. I actually do that a lot. Just go ahead and use my extra veggies. I cannot believe how much kale they gave us. This is really beautiful. This would be $4 in the store, at least. So we are just chopping that up. Kale, Ava Joy's ahead of us. Sorry, Ava. Sorry you have to wait for us. Us, us slow people. But I appreciate that you are ready. And then once we do all of that, then we're gonna bake. You could actually, like, especially with the kids, you can really just, piece this up with your hands. So you could do this and just mash it up. Or you could just do like a rough chop. It almost might be just as easy to just chop it up with your hands. Some people, some really healthy, like people who are like raw vegans, they don't believe in chopping up their vegetables because they feel like putting the metal into the green vegetable, like the vegetables kind of disturbs some of like the balance. I don't know if I believe that or not. Maybe it sounds true. Sometimes it's just easier just to use a knife, but actually this is going pretty quickly for me, so I'm gonna just keep doing it. I didn't plan to do it, but sometimes, especially with the curly kale can be a little hard to chop. And I do like seeing that the kids can help and not have to worry about using a knife. And we're just gonna chop that up into little bits. The smaller these little bits of kale, the easier it is to cook. When they're in their big pieces, it takes a little bit longer. So once we do this, we're going to put them, we're gonna cook them on the stove and we're gonna cook them down. So we're gonna, after we do this, we're going to turn on our stove to medium, like a medium high, and put our oil in there and let it get nice and warm. Then we'll add our garlic and then we'll add our kale. So while I have a little bit more of the kale to chop up, I'm gonna go ahead and put my stove on. And Sia likes for me to use the proper measurements. So Sia, we're gonna have 1 tablespoon of olive oil, but I'm gonna just do this. It is 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And we're gonna just let that go until it starts to get shimmery, when it gets nice and hot. The last time I went to the store, I loaded up on this garlic that's already chopped up because it's just easier. So after that gets nice and warm, we're gonna put 2 teaspoons of garlic into our pan. And go ahead and finish this up. And then obviously we know this is gonna cook down a lot. So even though it looks like a lot, it is gonna cook down. All right, I think I am done. It sounds like our oil is good over here. So let me go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of garlic. Yep, we wanna have that nice sizzle. If it's sizzling, that's what we're looking for. And we're gonna go ahead and just use our spoon or whatever so it's nice and even. If your garlic is popping in the pan, then that's what it should be doing. Yep, we're just kind of giving it a little bit of a prep. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our kale. You know, I did not add water. We are actually gonna add some water here. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in. And we're gonna put our kale in, and we're gonna use our spoon to kind of just make sure that it all kind of gets some of that oil and garlic. So we're just kind of letting it all get a little bit of that oil and garlic mixture. Olive oil and garlic always smell so good. You're always like, "Oh, what are you cooking?" Nothing. It's just olive oil and garlic. and onion. So then it's starting to, you can kind of see it's starting to kind of cook down a little bit. And that's what you're trying to get to, like just trying to get them all a little bit cooked down with that olive oil and garlic. And add the rest of it there. It's already cooking down nice. What's also nice here is that it starts to like really bring out that green when it's in that oil. So it's looking good. We're gonna just like let that kind of saute and simmer down a little bit. And once it starts to break down, we're gonna put a little bit of water. I'm gonna say a half a cup. So this is looking really good. So you can see, like, that's a whole head of kale. So even though it looked like it was a lot, I mean, that's definitely like enough for like one family serving. All right, so once it's kind of cooked down like that, then we are going to add a half a cup of water to that. Just add a half a cup of water. Oops, I don't have any water in there. Where's my water? Oh, here we go. Half a cup of water. It's gonna give it a nice little simmer. And we're gonna put the cover on it and let that get nice and soft. Basically, we're just making kale. It's pretty tough, and we do not want our kale to be tough. But you can see that the color is looking really good. And we're gonna go ahead and put the lid on it. Keep it on that like medium to medium low. And keep that on there for about 5 to 7 minutes. And we'll check back in 5 to 7 minutes to see if it's the texture that we want it to be. And while that is cooking down, we're gonna go ahead and get ready for, we're gonna prep our onions and our mushrooms to cook next. So the recipe only calls for like 1 onion. Again, I always like a lot of onion. I also only have these little baby onions. So I am going to do these 3 baby onions, and we're just chopping them up. Again, you guys are gonna see like our recipes kind of, we're now using like the same ingredients. We're using the same ingredients over and over again. Onions, olive oil, garlic, mushrooms, same thing over and over. So we're gonna chop up our onions and chop up our mushrooms and get ready to cook them next. And also chop up our tomatoes. You guys doing okay? Everybody's good? Good. Make sure you keep your eye on your greens over there cooking down. All right, and just a rough chop, nothing fancy. I was thinking about and talking to some of my friends about how so many plant-based and vegan recipes, they always try to make it sound so fancy and complicated. And what happens is that it makes us feel like it's not, it's too hard to try. And it's not that deep. It's not. It's not about doing anything fancy at all. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have special utensils. I'm gonna look at this kale. Oh yeah. Kale's looking good over here. If you were making this and you didn't want to use the kale, you could always use baby spinach. I always tell you guys, like, baby spinach has no flavor. It's really soft. So some people are like, well, that kale is like a little much for me. You could always use something that's not as we'll say as green. But you guys are ready for it. All right, I'm gonna chop. I kind of like to chop up my mushrooms like in quarters. It makes it like more hearty. And a lot of vegans or people who have a plant-based diet, they will use mushrooms in place of meat to kind of give it that density and texture. Like last night I made spaghetti for my son, and he, you know, I just made it with mushrooms and onions and did everything else the same ingredients and everything. But again, sometimes if you just kind of cut it a little bit heartier, it kind of is still giving you, you know, something to bite into. So we'll go ahead and just really chop up our mushrooms. Nothing fancy at all. The only thing to consider is that we kind of try to like to have them the same size so they cook evenly. If something is small and then another piece is big, obviously the smaller pieces are going to cook faster than the bigger pieces. All right. And definitely don't be afraid to use the mushroom stems. They cook up the same. Once they get in there, you won't even tell the difference. I'm kind of putting these together, but I should also say to separate, keep the mushrooms and onions separate, because you do want to put those mushrooms in first. I actually realized that last night in cooking that spaghetti for my son. It was like, onions are a little crunchy. Cooking them first gives them a little extra time to get soft. All right, that is my potatoes actually buzzing. All right, mushrooms are ready, onions are ready, potatoes to check, and let's see how the greens are doing. Greens are doing good. Okay, so my potatoes have been in there for an hour and they're not done yet. So just keep, it looks like they're a little bit more dense than usual. I'm going to keep those in there for another 15 minutes. And let's see how this kale is coming along. Give our kale a taste. I didn't put any seasoning or anything in it, so. Good. I'm going to put a little bit more water in there. I think you guys are going to want to do that too. Kale can be a little tough. I think that the kids are going to want it to be a little softer than that. So we'll go ahead and put our lid back on there and let that continue to cook a bit. Since that is actually still cooking and we still need to cook our mushrooms, we're going to need another pot. pardon me as I had to pull out another pan there. So we want to go ahead and get our onions and mushrooms cooking. So just like we did with everything else, put a little bit of olive oil in our pot, maybe another tablespoon. Let that get nice and hot. And then we will add our onions. And while we're doing that, we can go ahead and chop up our tomatoes and get them ready. We are not even going to cook our tomatoes, so it's going to be nice and vibrant when we add them to the rest of the mix. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add our onions to our oil. Give those a nice turn. You will also notice that we haven't used any salt at all yet.
Excuse me?
Yes.
What happens if you don't have tomatoes?
That's fine. You can use whatever you have.
Okay.
Yes, it'll be really good. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we don't cook with salt, but we'll add the salt to the whole, what we're gonna stuff our potato with. We'll add some there after we add the cheese. Because there's salt in the cheese, we don't wanna add too much salt. So we'll add the cheese, we'll taste it, and then we'll decide how much or how little bit of salt you wanna add. So whatever tomatoes or whatever kind of, obviously you're using whatever you have. I, again, happen to have some tomatoes in here that needed to be cooked. So, and used, so I'm going to do that. Then I'm just putting them in quarters. And you can use it and cut it any way you want. Nothing specific here. All right, and here my onions are popping, so let me come and check them out. And let me see how my kale is doing. Kale's looking good. Kale is good. You don't want it to get too soft. So this is my kale. You did lose some of the color, but that's okay. It looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and put the kale in like a bigger bowl because we're gonna put everything together. So put that in a bowl that can withstand hot stuff. All right, so that is the first part of our baked potato stuffing. Kale is ready. And then, coming back and looking at our onions are getting nice and sauteed up. Onions looking good, smelling good. All right, we'll keep chopping up our tomatoes. And then we'll add our mushrooms. To the mix. We're just letting the onions get a little soft. That is our goal there. Also, when you saute the onions like that, they bring out like a little bit of a sweetness in them, and they just taste really good. All right, tomatoes good to go. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and add the mushrooms to my onions. And we're just letting that cook down. So here's my onions and mushroom mix. And again, this is something I would cook that down and that would be the base for my spaghetti, just like that. Really, really yummy. All right, so we're just letting that saute and simmer and get all nice and good. All right, and so while that's cooking down, I'm gonna go ahead and add these tomatoes to our kale. The kale's looking good. See, you like my kale dance? Oh, that's good. And we're just putting it all together. Just like I was saying, that automatically just like, you know, again, we're always thinking about eating a rainbow. So now we have green in there. We've got red in there. We've got a little white in there. And to this, we are going to add our seasonings. So our seasonings here are the garlic powder, basil, and rosemary. So let's go ahead and add that on. I'm gonna have 1 teaspoon. Two seems like a lot. We'll go back and add more if we need to. So I have 1 teaspoon of the garlic powder. I actually have this mix that I just use for everything. Again, Trader Joe's, y'all know I'm always talking about Trader Joe's, but this has all of those herbs in kind of one mix. It's like an Italian mix. It has thyme, rosemary, basil, sage. So I just use that for everything. And I'm gonna put 1 nice big teaspoon of those herbs right into the mix there. My mushrooms are sounding good, so let me come back over here. See how we're doing. Looking good. Again, we're looking for the mushrooms to just kind of like start to get glazed over a little bit. Yep. And we can go ahead and back to our kale mix with our tomatoes and the seasonings. I'm actually going to take 2 because it's a little dense. And we're just mixing that all up together. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take, because we did have a lot of kale here, I'm actually gonna take half of this out, just so I want it to be like an even blend of the mushrooms, the onions, the kale, and the tomato. So I'm gonna divide half of that out. And again, this is something that I will definitely eat later. I will have that over some rice, over some couscous. If I don't add it back to this, I will definitely eat that later. Or even just by itself on the side. All right, this is almost ready. Just got a little bit more to go. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and start with this cheese. So if you are going to add cheese, if you have vegan cheese, whatever kind of cheese you have, you can go ahead and start adding that to the mix. This vegan cheese, it's a vegan feta. So this is a whole cup. I'm gonna just use half of it. I'm just gonna chop it up and put it in there in big chunks. I'm just gonna add that right to the mix. That is looking good, y'all. When we take the potato out and mix it together, the cheese helps to bring everything together, right? So it's kind of like mounded. The potato is also going to do that. Just going back to my point of like, I don't feel like you always need to have cheese. A lot of times we add cheese because we feel like we need it, but you might not. All right, that's looking good. All right. So now it's time. You can see that these mushrooms are nice and cooked down. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the mushrooms to the mix. And then again, you can kind of add as many as you like. I love mushrooms and onions, so I'm going to add a lot. And then we're just mixing that all together. That is really lovely. And that's our stuffing. That's our baked potato mix. Looking real good. Let me taste that baby. Sia, are you still there? You've been stuck for a really long time. Okay. All right. So I just want a little taste of this because I have to. Yum. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of salt now. And again, with that cheese, it really doesn't even need that much, to be honest. It really doesn't. A little salt, a little pepper. So this is our veggie mix. And as I'm tasting it, I'm really realizing that it's like, again, the potato is just our carbs. So if you were to have a brown rice, it would be just as good. Brown rice. I mean, I don't know about pasta, but maybe. But definitely over some brown rice all day. Easy, easy. I could sit here and eat this whole thing, as you can see. That's good. All right, my potatoes are ready. And so what we are just going to do is bring them over here. I only did two. I'm sorry, I did three. But I'm gonna just start with one. So potatoes are looking really good. Unfortunately, they're hot. So it is gonna be kind of difficult for me to work with, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna brave up so that we can get the full effect. So we are gonna, once this cools down, like obviously this is way too hot to even bother with right now, but what we're gonna do is open them up and try to scoop out some of the potatoes, the inside of that potato. It's like like a potato skin. These are really hot, so I apologize that they didn't get a chance to finish and cool down. But You can see this one over here. You're just like hollowing it out. And then we're mixing it in with the rest of our mix and then adding it back in. Ooh, hot, hot. I mean, honestly, you don't even have to do that, but I kind of do like the effect of it being like a potato skin and then filling it back in with the mix. In fact, I'm gonna do it like that. I'm gonna just kind of hollow it out, let it be nice and open. Mix that together with the rest of my mix. Just like that, I got it over there on the side, and then just go back and fill it up with the potato and the mix we put together. I'm really gonna make this so it's like really busting out too. This is a legit full meal. Like, this is real filling. That looks really good. So you're just gonna put that back in the oven. You're gonna put that back in the oven for like 5 minutes just to let that cheese melt, and that's it. Then we are done. And again, this was, this is how much was left from when I took out half of the kale and the tomatoes. So I know the recipe called for like 5 potatoes. So that would definitely do for five whole potatoes. But then too, I still have this whole other half of the kale and tomato mix that I would just, you know, I probably will put that for my breakfast eggs in the morning. So yeah, we're just gonna keep that in there for 5 more minutes. And we will be good to go. What do you guys think? How are you doing over there? Doing good? Sia, you've been frozen, like, are you still there? That's funny. No, but this looks really good. So I'm gonna go ahead, and while that's getting it ready, I'm gonna pour out a little of this ranch dressing that I was telling you about I put in this jar last week. I'm gonna go ahead and pour a little bit out, and then that can be our topping. And then the last but not least piece is to chop up our scallions. I almost forgot about them. So we'll go ahead and chop up our scallions to be the part of our topping of our potato. I no longer eat before cooking class. I wait and I eat whatever we prepare in cooking class. So I cannot wait to eat this. This looks yummy. So I'm actually going to just do the tops because I want the top to have that, that's like greenery, like on the top of it. So you're just going to go ahead and chop up your scallions in little choppy bits. And what I really do love about this is, like, we know we go to like Applebee's or whatever, and you know, you get your stuffed potatoes and it's like bacon and sour cream and cheese and all of this stuff. But this is a much healthier version, and it's going to be just as stuffed. I mean, this is going to be a full-on meal. And again, too, you know, as part of your fuller meal, like, I would definitely serve this with, I serve every meal with a salad. I just make a green salad, I keep it in the refrigerator, If you have it on your plate, you're gonna be more likely to eat it. If you have it in your refrigerator ready to go, you don't have to think about it. And then if you're eating meat, I mean, you just go ahead and have your chicken or your fish or whatever you're eating with that. That is a legit full meal. We have we have our kale, that's 1. Tomatoes, that's 2. Our onions, that's 3. Our mushrooms, that's 4. And then the potato itself, that's 5. So that's 5 servings of vegetables in this meal. And that's not even counting the scallions on top. And our goal is to have between 5 and 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. So again, with this one meal, again, 100% plant-based. We did not add anything extra here. The only thing that we're adding that has been processed is this ranch dressing that we made because it has that vegan mayonnaise in it. But everything else we know, we started from the plant itself. It started from this. It started right here, and then the cheese. The cheese is processed, but again, almost 100% plant-based meal here. Again, these are just little onions, so if you wanted to add those to the top, you could. Maybe I'll add one because I'm such a fiend for onions.
Miss Jiana, what is the brand of vegan mayo you get?
Yeah, let me see. Veganese.
Okay. You got that from the same co-op place?
Yep, that Mariposa. It's in the refrigerator section.
Okay.
Because it has to stay refrigerated, which is a good sign. It'll go bad on the shelf. But again, I use like a little guy, use this first quarter of it for this dressing, and this is the rest of it. I mean, so you use it just like mayonnaise. It's real good. It is I'm not recommending things to you all that I don't try and I haven't eaten. And that Veganese is a really good brand. Just like this BioLife is a good brand too. I try to stay away from suggesting things that are weird or don't taste right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, y'all. Let's see. That baby looks good. So again, it's kind of hot. But there we go. There is our stuffed baked potato. And I'm going to go ahead and add our dressing on top. Just going to pour a little bit of that over the top. That is legit. And a little bit of our scallions. There we go. Stuffed baked potato, vegan style. So I hope that you all enjoy this. I know I am about to tear it up in about T-minus, whenever we get off the thing. Oh my gosh, I'm on time. I'm really impressed with that. I've been really trying to stick to an hour because I know the kids, an hour is a lot. But I hope that they're having fun. I love to see everybody kind of cooking along with us. Oh, Ava Jo, you taking your potato out? Nice. So yeah, let me take a taste.
It tastes good. I like the basil with the garlic tastes good. Nadia is trying it now.
Oh, good. Yeah, I do like that too. Like an Italian flavor to it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I like whenever you're using the basil is always good when you see tomatoes in the ingredients.
Yeah. We didn't have any tomato, but it tastes. We use regular feta cheese. We have feta.
Oh, good.
It tastes good. I'm gonna try the vegan feta though.
It's surprisingly good. Yeah, y'all, this is real good. I'm happy with that. I hope that you are too. I mean, this is, I just like to have things that are when people hear vegan, you're like, oh, I don't know, I might not like that. There's nothing not to like about this. It's potatoes and vegetables. Potatoes, vegetables, and cheese. Vegan just means that we don't have any meat or dairy ingredients in it, but if you do, that's fine. We're not here about vegan. We're not here about those titles. We're here about having more plants in our life. And the more plant-based foods we eat, the healthier we are. Nadia, I see you eating it. You like it? Me too. Yeah, it's good. The the basil definitely comes through real strong. And honestly, I don't even know if we need that ranch dressing, honestly. I think that mix by itself is fine. Miss Marsha, I see you over there nodding your head. You like it? It's tasty, right? How's Jaden like it over there? Is he tasting it? Has he tasted it?
Jaden doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it.
But I like it, of course, everything that we've made. Minus the potatoes, but pretty much just the kale part, which is healthier. So, yeah.
That's all right. Some of these things are definitely acquired taste. It's, you know, it's different. I also like that we didn't use a lot of salt. Even that little bit at the end. Ava Joy, what do you think?
It's good.
You like it? Good. Yay. I mean, you know, again, these are just ideas. You can do it, you know, do it the way your little swerve and your flavor on it. In fact, I brought out my, this season and I pretty much put on everything, the slap your mama, you know what I mean? You got with the hot seasoning, and you know, I got that when I was in New Orleans last season. I pretty much put that on everything. You know, whatever you need to do to make it like authentically yours to your palate.
You can taste the cow.
That you like to add, but it's just the idea to put together a stuffed potato that is how you need it.
See how the potatoes is?
I feel like we always feel like it has to have like bacon, you know what I mean? And it's like you don't have to have bacon. It's just like a texture.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Well, I would try to say it is 2 o'clock. I'm so happy to see everybody's like eating and tasting and enjoying. Sia, are you going to be able to get your screen back together before we say goodbye? I don't know. You've been frozen for a while. I don't know if you're still there or not.
Mm.
I love it. That's basically me. Can I just like record that sound and just like duplicate it for yes? Mine is yum.
I know yours is better than yours.
Yeah, it's good. All right, family. So I'm going to let you go. It's a little after 2, but thank you again for hanging out with me and hanging out together. It really is a nice time. I'm happy.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll see you again next Saturday.
See you then.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a good day,
Great
ladies
weekend.
and gentlemen.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Miss Jiana. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Enjoy.